Who are the best fractional CMOs for law firms? And I'm going to show you how to choose the right one. If you're a law firm looking for a fractional CMO, the worst thing that you can do is look for them inside the legal circles. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to hire the right fractional CMO for your law firm, and most importantly, how not to make a huge mistake hiring the wrong one. All right, so I've worked with a lot of businesses all over the world, and we've generated a ton of lead generation for law firms. And it's really important when you're looking for a fractional CMO for your law firm to understand that you guys are completely different than almost any other industry. And that's why it's really important that when you're interviewing fractional CMOs, that you really dig into some questions to make sure that they understand how different your industry is and what it actually needs to be successful. First off, let's go back to the original point. Best lists and things like that just don't work for law firms. Generating inbound leads for law firms is very, very competitive. In fact, we spend about $15,000 a day generating inbound leads for the largest law firm in America. So we know exactly how complicated it can be. There are a lot of different regulations when it comes to doing lead generation for law firms. There's a lot of different subtleties about what happens once the lead is generated. Heck, the other day I was driving down the highway in Florida and I saw a billboard that said, "You can reach us 24 hours a day." Think about that. Law firms are now taking calls or responding to texts 24 hours a day. What does that mean to you? It means that things are so competitive and people are shopping law firms so quickly that if you don't have your marketing completely dialed in, not just on the front end, but on the back end in your follow-up systems, you're just blowing money faster than you can possibly put it out. What law firms actually need to be successful in their marketing is they need a very, very clear understanding of exactly who it is they want to serve, right? You've got motor vehicle accidents, you've got medical malpractice, you've got divorce, you've got all of these different cases, and most of the time a law firm will specialize in one, maybe they'll have two, in some rare cases they have three, depending on the size. But you can't just go out and say, here's our law firm, if you have a problem, give us a call or text us or go to this website, because the competition is so high now that people have to feel that you stand out in some way. And it's difficult, unless you're really experienced in it, to make one law firm stand out from another, but that's the magic to it. So the first thing that you have to understand is that you're different, and if you don't think you're different, your fractional CMO has to create a strategy that makes you different because you're in a hyper-competitive market space. So here's what to look for in a fractional CMO. Number one, they have to have done legal lead generation before. Have to. Stop sentence. Because there's a lot of different liability issues and regulatory issues involved, and if they don't know them, you're going to be in big trouble. And as an attorney, you probably are already aware of that. Number two, they have to have generated them in your specific sector. So for example, one of our clients does medical malpractice. Well, medical malpractice is usually taken on contingency, which means it's got a long time until it closes, which means you have to have a proper KPI model where the math that you're spending here is actually going to back out to be profitable in the math over here, but that takes 12 to 14 months. What you have to understand is that marketing is a combination of creative and math. They're both together. And the reality is that most people don't have a brain that does both of them at the same time. They're either a creative person or they're a math person. If you can find a really good fractional CMO, they actually have both parts living inside the same brain, and that's a unicorn of a human being, let alone the marketing industry on its own. So you really have to make sure that they have experience in your industry and then in the specific case type that you want to generate, and most importantly, they have to be able to show you. All right, now there's three types of fractional CMOs, okay? Number one, you have consultative. Number two, you have managerial. And number three, you have consultative plus execution. So let's talk about the three and the pros and cons of each one. So the first one is consultative. The pros of that, the least expensive. The cons of that, you have to make sure that you have the team to be able to actually execute their strategy. Someone who's consultative is going to meet with you 2 to 4 times a month. They're going to audit your business. They're going to tell you what you need to do, and then they're going to say, now go do it. If you don't have a full marketing team at your disposal inside of your business, or a selection of vendors that you've been working with for a while that you trust, that you can pass that information over to them, then quite frankly, most of the time, it doesn't go anywhere because you have these meetings and they say, do this, and you say, great, and then you turn around at the end of the meeting and go, well, who's gonna do it? So the pros, inexpensive, and you get to leverage their experience. The cons, somebody actually has to do the work. The second one is managerial. Now, this is sort of the next step up. This is where you bring a fractional CMO in and they'll tell you exactly what to do, but you have a team and it's now their job to manage your team and actually make sure that they execute on that strategy. So the pros of that is that you know at least whatever they say, there are people to actually go out and execute it. The cons are that, number one, they're a little bit more expensive than just consultative. And number two, anytime you hire a new boss per se, especially when they're fractional, because they're not there every day, so people kind of wonder, are they here for the long term? Are they here for the short term? Do I really have to listen to them? There's a lot of integration that has to happen in the culture. There's a lot of evaluation that has to happen on your talent. Does that fractional CMO say, well, this person's great, this person needs work, this person needs to hit the streets, right? Do you now have to have him or her hire, train, deploy? So one of the challenges of having consultative plus managerial combined together is that oftentimes it can take 4, 5, 6 months for them to be fully ingrained inside of your business. The third one is where you have a fractional CMO that typically is part of an agency. It's typically one of the most senior people that are part of an agency. And the pros and cons of having that is that you have this person who has tons of real world experience. They're literally watching campaigns right now today. It's not something they learned last month or last year. They're in the trenches right now. So they can quickly say, well, based on what this client's doing, you should be doing this, this, and this because this is working right now. And you don't have to ingrain them with your team. They have a team that just goes and executes it. So you can cut down your deployment time from 4 to 5, 6 months down to 30 to 45 days, which means that your bottom line gets that increase much quicker than option 1 or option 2. The con, and there really is only one, is that typically they're a little bit more expensive than option 1 and option 2 because they also have a team that they're paying to deploy it. If you want to actually see how this works inside a real law firm, I put together a video for you and it goes through the 5 things that you should 100% do before you hire a fractional CMO. And if you want to watch that video, just go ahead and click the link below.